Stay tuned at the end of this presentation for a special sneak preview of our next video release, Ghosts of Gettysburg 2, coming for Halloween 1995.
In great deeds, something abides. On great fields, something stays. Forms change and pass. Bodies disappear, but spirits linger to consecrate ground for the vision place of souls. Men and women from generations that know us not shall come through this deathless field to ponder and dream. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain.
The Battle of Gettysburg was the most important battle ever fought on American soil. In a very real sense, the fate of the nation hung in the balance here. For 3 days in July of 1863, men of the North and the South fought with as much passion, courage, and conviction as ever recorded in the history of warfare. The fighting transformed the lush Pennsylvania countryside into a killing field, littered with bodies of the dead and dying. The very soul of the nation was torn open here, leaving huge physical and psychological wounds. Echoes of the battle continue to reverberate even today. In its aftermath, some say that wounds opened during that distant July over a century ago may still be festering, and that Gettysburg has a huge unseen population of tormented, restless souls caught somewhere between life and death. For almost 20 years, writer and historian Mark Nesbitt has researched and written about poltergeist activity in Gettysburg.
This may very well be, acre for acre, the most haunted place in America. It seems as if that whenever there's a traumatic experience, a battle where many men have died, or where there's a great expenditure of emotional energy, it seems like that's a place where ghosts, if you want to call them that, linger, or spirits linger. When they're torn from this life too suddenly, when their lives are left unfinished, it seems that is a place where ghosts may remain. Approximately 200,000 men came here for 3 days in July of 1863. 51,000 became casualties, killed, wounded, and missing in those 3 days. The fascination with ghost stories, I think, comes from a question that we all have. What happens after we die? What happens to the dead?
Mark Nesbitt's interest in ghosts came about when he was working for the Park Service. Interestingly, some of the best stories came from park rangers themselves.
While I worked for them, I did various things such as night patrol, and whenever I would finish night patrol, I'd end up talking to a few people afterwards, and they would ask me, well, since you've been out on the battlefield at night, have you seen any ghosts out there? And I would have to admit, no, I didn't see any ghosts. And so they would say, well, have you heard the story about this ghost? Or let me tell you what happened to me out on the battlefield. And just being a natural collector of things, I started jotting these down. And that's how I began collecting these stories.
The ghosts of Gettysburg do not just linger on the battlefield. They seem to inhabit every nook and cranny of the town itself, even the college campus.
What we call Gettysburg College today was once known as Pennsylvania College. And it was much, much smaller than it is today. There were only 3 buildings on the Pennsylvania College campus. There was Linnaean Hall, there was a building called the White House, and a very, very large edifice called Old Dorm, today called Pennsylvania Hall. The fighting occurred just a few hundred yards to the north of the college campus. That meant that any structure back there was immediately confiscated by the surgeons and used as hospitals. Every single structure was filled overflowing with the wounded refuse of the battle. Old Dorm, being one of the largest structures in the area, was also filled overflowing. The lower floors they used mostly for the operating rooms, the upper floors for the recovery rooms. It's July, it's hot. The lower floors soon became sticky with gore and the heat and sweat of wounded men.
Amputations were a common thing, and to throw the bone out the window or bones out the window on both sides or doors or whatever, or they carried them out in baskets or however they did it, you know, the old belief that the National Cemetery is the only place that anybody was buried during the Battle of Gettysburg, I think, is fictitious. As these people were dumping stuff, they weren't carrying them out other places and being real cautious and careful as they might be today at a hospital or something like that. I believe if they dug the areas, and I'm certainly not advocating come dig on my campus because you will be arrested if you do that. But I believe if they dug down, they'd probably run tons of artifacts and probably some bones, and it'd probably be pretty amazing what all they'd run into because it's been there for so long.
Old Dorm now is the administration building for Gettysburg College. And the people over there are hardworking individuals. They work sometimes late into the night. And two administrators were working late one night and decided finally that they were exhausted and decided to wrap it up. So they walked down the hall together to the elevator, the same elevator they had taken hundreds of times before, down to the exit on the first floor. They got in the elevator, pushed the button for the first floor, and the elevator descended 3, 2, 1, and then continued past the first floor down to the basement.
Little did they know that the elevator was taking them to a special haunting, courtesy of the ghosts of Gettysburg.
Of course, they assumed that the elevator was acting up, and so they punched the button for the first floor again. But instead of the elevator going up, it stopped at the basement, and the doors opened to reveal a horrifying scene out of time and reason. Instead of the cleaned up area that they had seen so many times before, that was a storage area in the basement, the doors opened to reveal a Civil War hospital scene. Amputations going on, orderlies walking around carrying armloads of severed limbs, surgeons working and sweating in this man-made hell, wounded soldiers writhing in the corner, waiting to be operated on, other people in agony in the far reaches of this area. The women almost panicked. The scene was just so unbelievable and incredible to them. They punched frantically at the buttons, trying to punch the first floor button to get them out of this. One of the surgeons looked up from the grisly task before him and beckoned to them beseechingly to come in and help with this never-ending...